Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of PowerCore Productions and Podcastings. In today's video, we're going to be continuing Dragon Ball World's Strongest. What if Wonder Woman was in Dragon Ball Part 11? As always, if you're new to the channel or if you're a regular and you like what we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is PowerCore Productions and Podcastings that has to come out now and in the future. As we go into Part 11, this is the second to last part for Dragon Ball World's Strongest before we conclude this Season 1, if you will, with Part 12. As we go into this part, we reach the final stages of the Namek/Frieza saga, with a lot of twists and turns coming around in these final two acts. But will it make a difference in the grand scheme of things? Or will evil still be able to prevail? Follow along as we go into the final portions of this saga in Dragon Ball World's Strongest. What if Wonder Woman was in Dragon Ball Part 11? As always, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Vegeta, Chi-Chi, and Krillin waited as Chase and Berta were flying high above them. Krillin would give the signal. Vegeta would get down and duck his eyes, as both Chi-Chi and Krillin waiting for the opportune time, as the two Ginyu Force members flew with the sun shining high above them. In unison, they would both use the same technique, that being solar flare. A double blinding effect would occur in the sky instantly. Both Chase and Berta would be caught by it without any expectation or notice. The two would immediately stop their flying, unable to see anything as they had been completely blinded. Chi-Chi would transform into her cheetah state, as Vegeta would jump high into the air, telling all three of them to go all out at the same moment. Vegeta would charge up a Gallic gun, Krillin would use the Kamehameha wave, and Chi-Chi would use the double Sundae. All three attacks charged to their absolute limit, and the person they were gunning for was Berta. Berta, who would be still hovering in the sky with no sense of direction, would be caught by the three attacks all at once. Now, under normal circumstances, both Chase and Berta would be able to fend off these attacks rather easily. However, because they didn't have their guard up and they were taken by surprise, this gave Vegeta and now his allies the time that they needed to hit them with an all-out assault. Even for the strongest of beings in the Dragon Ball universe, there's not much you can do once your guard is down and your enemy takes advantage. Jace would slowly gain back his sight. However, everything would still be blurry as he heard the gargling sound of Berta as the instant explosion of all three ki attacks hitting him at once as he went plummeting towards the ground. As Jace was slowly coming back to, he would feel a sharp pain in his back. Vegeta had moved behind him and, charging up his power once more, he would punch him directly, allowing for his fist to go straight through the back and right out through the front. Jace would feel his life force slipping as he turned back slowly, coughing up blood, to see a grinning Vegeta. Vegeta! Yes, Jace. Shame that this will be our last of meetings. You bastard! Attacking us like a coward. So much for that Saiyan heritage nonsense. I knew you didn't believe it. You and your people were nothing but... You know, the one doing the most talking shouldn't be the one who's on the verge of death. You won't get away with this. The captain will avenge us. Maybe. But that's the least of your concerns right now, my friend. Now, do me a favor. Make sure you keep hell nice and warm now, why don't you? Curse you, Vegeta! Curse you! Jace would fall to the ground as well, alongside Berta, who was still reeling from the attack, hardly able to stand. Of course, for Chi-Chi and Krillin, they didn't like that things had to get so violent. They wished that there could have been another way. But Vegeta told them that now was not the time for sentiment. Without a warning, Vegeta would launch one more attack. With the two weakened Ginyu Force members already down, he would finish them off for the count. Meanwhile, both Recoome and Ginyu, as they were flying across the planet, halfway to be precise, they would sense the feeling of something being wrong as they checked their scouters, and they could see that the power levels for both Jace and Berta had almost seemingly disappeared. Captain, what's the meaning of it? Jace and Berta, it's as if their power levels have just disappeared altogether. What? It can't be. No, we're all definitely stronger than Vegeta, even with Guldo being the weakest member of our team. He must have allies working with him. Allies? But I thought he was after the Dragon Balls as well. It's not like the Namekians would work with him. Then it must be someone else. But no matter, we need to see what's going on. I can't believe it. 3 of us? He's managed to pick us off like it were nothing. Vegeta, when I see you... Both Recoome and Ginyu would go flying at top speeds, hoping to find whatever had happened to now their 2 more fallen allies. Frieza, in the meanwhile, was growing rather impatient. He checked his scouter every now and again, and more of the Ginyu seemed to be disappearing. Vegeta couldn't have gotten this strong, there's no way. But every time the Ginyu seem to spread apart, that's when they're getting picked off. I see your game, Vegeta. You're using guerrilla warfare tactics. Most unbecoming of a Saiyan. But it is within your nature to be a cowardice. So, what should I do now? Frieza pondered. If the Ginyus continue playing this game, Vegeta might actually pick them all off before now. But still, Frieza knew that he held the advantage. And that was for one reason. Vegeta wouldn't dare fight him. That much was certain. Even if Vegeta was somehow strong enough to fight against the Ginyus, it still said a lot that he had to resort to this. He's avoiding a full-on confrontation with me. No matter, I need to search for the Dragon Balls as soon as possible. If Vegeta does manage to get his hands on them all. Frieza would leave his ship, going and flying off to see if there were any other Dragon Balls that might be available. This would lead Frieza to where the Grand Elder, Guru, was, and this would still lead to his fight with Nail. In the meantime though, Ginyu and Recoome would continue searching on, trying to find wherever Jace and Berta had been. But now with the enemies being picked off more, Vegeta, Krillin, and Chi-Chi would go back into hiding once again. Their power, they used almost all of it just to pull off that little stunt. They weren't going to have much more left. Even if they tried this again, it would hardly do anything against either Recoome or against Captain Ginyu. So far and yet so short, Krillin would say. Shut it, Baldy. Now isn't the time to have any regret. We've already committed to this. You have the other 2 Dragon Balls, don't you? I need to use them to wish for immortality. We've already told you we're not going to do that. And why not? Because, even if you had immortality, what good would it do you right now? You're still not strong enough to fight Frieza, or even the Ginyu Force for that matter. That's not the point. I would have time. So what, you're just going to leave? Well, do you have a better idea? In all honesty, they really didn't. Although, maybe we could bring some others back, Krillin would say. You mean like Piccolo and Radix? Radix? Are you kidding me? You want to waste the wish to try to bring back that weakling? It's still worth a try. It's better than doing nothing, at least. No, I absolutely refuse. I'd rather Frieza blow us all up right now than do something as stupid as that. Both Vegeta and Chi-Chi were about to come to blows, and Krillin had to try to play the peacemaker between them. Guys, come on! Us fighting amongst ourselves isn't really going to change anything. We have the Dragon Balls in our possession. Frieza knows this, so he's not going to do anything stupid like blow up the planet. At least, I hope not. For now, the best thing we can do is wait until Goku and Diana arrive. What? You want to wait for Kakarot? That's right. They're not too far off from being here. So they're arriving then. Vegeta pondered what he was going to do. If he waited till when Goku and Diana arrived, chances are they'd outnumber him and he'd have no chance of getting his wish. But at the same time, he still had to find those last Dragon Balls. And he knew that he wouldn't be free to act as long as the Ginyus were still around, as well as Frieza. He was left in a no-win situation, but he knew he still had to do something. In the meantime, as Ginyu and Recoome continued in their chase and search, their Skyers would pick up 2 power levels, pretty massive ones, heading to the planet. Now they had no clue of what was going on either, but they knew they had to check it out. They would fly to where they believed the coordinates would show where whomever these beings were going to land. And before long, just as their Skyers had calculated, a ship would arrive on Namek. As it rested down, they waited as the doors would slowly open. Stepping out would be Goku, Diana, and Gohan, all 3 ready for what Namek had to offer. So, and just who the hell are you? Ginyu would ask. Seems they've been waiting for us. Hey, Diana? It appears so, my love. Gohan, stay behind us. Gohan nodded as his parents stepped forward. My name is Goku. I am a Saiyan of Earth. And I am Diana of Dimskara, also of Earth. So, you're this Earth Saiyan and this woman that we've heard so much about, Ginyu would reiterate. Doesn't matter. If they came here looking for trouble, we're more than happy to give it to you. I'm hoping that it doesn't have to come to that, Goku would say. Judging from your powers, while you are decently strong, you won't win this encounter with us. If you turn back from your evil ways and you leave now, then we promise you'll keep your lives. You think that I'm scared of you? Hey boss, allow me to rough him up a bit. Very well, Recoome. This guy, he thinks he can actually talk to Recoome like that. Well, I hope you're ready, because I'm about to... Before Recoome could finish his sentence, Goku would easily elbow him in the gut. You see, even while Goku wouldn't be as strong as his canon self, this version of Goku would still be more than capable of outclassing and beating Recoome, just as he had in the original, edging him out in terms of power, with Recoome being at around 65k, while Goku was respectably at 70k, an increase by over 5,000. It meant that Goku couldn't play around with Recoome like he did in the original, No, he'd have to be swift about this fight, otherwise Raccoon might actually be able to get in some decent shots. Although it didn't really take long for Goku to get the decisive win, knowing when to strike and how to, rendering him relatively harmless. Seeing Raccoon go down, Ginyu now became concerned. He knew he was definitely going to have to go all out in this fight. However, from what the scouter had showed, Goku wasn't someone that he couldn't beat. And in this instance, he'd be right. As Ginyu stepped up to fight next, Goku would have no choice but to bow out, allowing for Diana to step forward. You're not gonna fight me yourself. I'd love to, but truthfully speaking, you have me outclassed. So I'm going to leave it to Diana here. Very well. Show me what you can do, warrior of Earth. Ginyu and Diana would engage in their battle, and this is where Ginyu would find himself on the losing end. Of course, in terms of base power, Ginyu was definitely stronger. However, once Diana tapped into Kaioken, just using ×2 was more than enough to outclass Ginyu. Using ×3 simply humiliated him. Goku and Gohan would watch as Diana was effortlessly able to thrash and beat around Captain Ginyu. It was relatively quick to say the least. In the meantime, Chi-Chi, Krillin, and Vegeta would sense what was happening, and that the power levels of both Raccoon and Ginyu were going down relatively quickly. This could only lead to one thing, as they could feel other power levels near them. That Goku and Diana had finally reached Namek, and they were making short work of what remained of the Ginyu force. It meant now that they actually had a chance. Just what Vegeta feared. Now the Earthlings had more help. There wasn't really much that he could do. Krillin and Chi-Chi would turn back to Vegeta, asking if he would just please work with them and let them use the Dragon Balls. If he did so, then at the very least they could promise him a chance at survival. Vegeta knew when he was beat. Ultimately, there was nothing that he could do this time around. Begrudgingly, he told them that if Goku and Diana could take care of the last two Ginyus, then he'd work with them, for now. They all nodded in agreement and waited. As the fight between Ginyu and Diana was reaching what seemed to be its end, he couldn't believe that this was the extent of his power, and even more so, that this woman had him outbeat in every way. Diana warned for Ginyu to give up, that it would be wise of him to just surrender now and to leave. She didn't want to have to kill unnecessarily, although she wasn't above doing so. Ginyu could not take this lying down, and staying true to himself, he faced the idea of giving up, before quickly stabbing himself and injuring himself in the process. As Diana landed next to Goku, the two wondered what he could be up to. Was he trying to kill himself because he didn't want to go out in a certain way? They had no way of knowing. That was until Ginyu made it very clear what he was trying to do. As he walked towards Diana's direction, he would try to use the body change technique, figuring that if he didn't have the power to beat her, he could just use her body and take her power instead. However, the moment he tried to do so, Goku, sensing what was coming, would push Diana out of the way, and instead, it would be Goku's body that would be taken. To say that everyone would be confused would be an understatement. Ginyu, just as he had in the original, had managed to take Goku's body, although now knowing that Goku was the weaker of the two, Ginyu knew that this wouldn't really do him much good, but still he tried to put up an effort as he went attacking towards Diana once again. As they began fighting, Diana, now getting more grip to what was happening, now hearing her husband's voice in the body of Ginyu, she would have to try to figure out a way to get things switched back around. Hopefully, they could get Goku's body back and avoid any more unnecessary injury. However, as Ginyu was fighting in Goku's body, he would learn that he couldn't access even a fraction of what Goku's original power truly was. At most, he could only use about half of it. As the battle persisted onward, Ginyu figured that he'd wait for his opening, and then he'd try for another body change. If Diana was going to be keeping her focus on him, then that meant that it would have to give him the opportunity that he needed to at least steal her body once more. However, the second attempt that he made wouldn't do him much good either, as Goku had also been waiting for his chance. With help from Gohan, who would give him a burst into the air, Goku would go flying, as he waited for the use of the body change, to get back into his original body as Ginyu lie helpless and injured in his. In the meanwhile, Krillin, Chi-Chi, and Vegeta, after Vegeta had managed to gather up his remaining Dragon Balls, would fly over to where the others had been fighting, going to see what had been the result, and that being that the final two Ginyus had been defeated, although not to Vegeta's liking. As Chi-Chi and Krillin would reconvene with Diana, Goku, and Gohan, they would hear two massive explosions off in the distance. As they turned back to see what had happened, they would be rather disappointed and angered. "Vegeta!" Goku would say. "Why would you do that? They were already defenseless. There was no reason to kill them." "Shut it, Kakarot. It seems no matter how strong you and your woman become, you're always still weak where it counts. Letting them be now would only lead to more trouble in the future, and you know it." There would be nothing more but a long silence, as now, in one day, the Ginyu Force were effectively no more. With that done, the next matter would be the Dragon Balls and how to use them. With the 5 that they already had, they would make their way to the hideout where Bulma was waiting, along with Dende. As they arrived, Dende would explain to them how the Namekian Dragon Balls worked, and how only if you spoke Namekian could your wish be granted. Thankfully, they had Dende who could speak it, and they also learned that they would get 3 wishes instead of 1. This was a game changer, exactly what Vegeta was looking for. The Earthlings could make their wish, and he could still get what he was after. With that being said, they would then go over what exactly they would want to wish for. However, they would get a bit interrupted, as Piccolo would be speaking to them from Otherworld with King Kai. Piccolo would explain that he wanted to go to Namek, and that's why with the first wish, he wanted to be brought back. As for Chaozu, even though he would be elated at the news of being brought back despite having died before, he decided he would weigh off a bit, knowing they were going to want to bring back the stronger fighters to get all the help that they could get. They understood, and they promised that they would bring Chaozu back as soon as they could. With the first wish that was going to be made, it would be used on Piccolo. Everyone would take time to sense where Frieza was, seeing as how he was far off on the other side of the planet, dealing with the likes of Nail. They figured this was the opportune time. They would use all of the Dragon Balls gathered together, and they would summon Porunga, as Dende would quickly grant the wishes, hopefully before the Grand Elder died, and the Dragon Balls would be made useless. With the first wish, Piccolo would be brought back to life and would be brought to Namek. Thanks to the wording of the wish, Piccolo would be brought back to Namek, but unfortunately he wasn't brought exactly where he needed to be. Then there was the matter of the second wish. Chi-Chi was adamant that they should bring back Raditz, however Vegeta was against it. When they went to Porunga, They would ask if Radix could be brought back, to which Purunga said yes. However, before they could even finish, Purunga would say that Radix did not wish to return at this time. They would be shocked by this. However, Purunga would explain that Radix was currently busy in the other world, and that he would return in his own time. However, if they wished to bring him back, they could do so. They all wondered what Radix could have been up to, and what he was doing in Otherworld anyway. But still, they would make the wish, and Radix would be brought back. So he could return to Earth now. Since Kami would be alive, Kami could pick him up from Otherworld anytime. And unknown to them, Radix and Kami had already met in Otherworld. But then there was the final wish, and that was when Vegeta became impatient. Alright, you've wasted your 2 wishes. Now I want to crack. I want immortality now. Everyone looked to Vegeta hastily. Giving him immortality would be simply a waste and wouldn't do them any good. However, Vegeta had been cooperating with them up until now, so it wouldn't be right just to leave him out. That's when Krillin came up with a suggestion. Why don't we wish for his potential to be unleashed? What? It's what the Grand Elder did for me and Chi-Chi. He was able to unlock our power, and he was able to boost us up some. It must not have been worth much. You're still just as weak as you were before. Both Chi-Chi and Krillin would look at him angrily, but they ignored it as they focused on the main issue at hand. We're not going to give you immortality, Vegeta. But if you would like, we can have your potential unlocked at least. Unlocking my potential by way of a wish. This went against everything that the Saiyans stood for. But still, he knew that it was better than nothing. With a scowl, Vegeta would look over to them and nod. Fine. Unlock my potential. I know it'll be greater than anything you all are capable of. So give it to me. They would look to Dende, and Dende would make the wish. And Vegeta would have his potential unlocked, in the same way that Chi-Chi and Krillin had. A swell of energy would form around Vegeta. It almost felt like it was too much for him to take. If his potential was going to be unlocked, then would it mean that he would get the legendary power as well? It had to be. It would only make sense. After all, who else could receive such a power? Vegeta would feel himself starting to overflow with energy. As Purunga concluded the wish, Vegeta would power up to max. Safe to say, Vegeta had reached a new tier of power. This is what I call Vegeta Unlocked, or Vegeta 1 million, as it will be known in this series. Vegeta's untapped potential put him at 1 million in terms of power, making him unquestionably the strongest there. So, you denied me immortality, but it seems it was pointless in the end. Because now I am back where I belong, as the strongest in the galaxy. Oh yes, Frieza won't stand a chance against me when I'm like this. You're all free to do what you want. I have a date with destiny. Vegeta would fly into the air before taking off immediately. The others weren't sure of what to do now. Goku was still a bit battered and beat up, so they had to figure out how they were going to help him. However, Dende had the ability to heal, and he would heal over the wounds of anyone who was injured. As a result, Goku would get a little increase in his power thanks to the Zenkai boost. But with that, there was still the worry of Vegeta and Frieza. Now knowing what they were going to be up against, and now that they had 2 ships, in all likelihood, they'd have to be concerned in case anything were to happen. Bulma would decide to stay back, with Gohan watching over her. But in the meanwhile, everyone else would head off to see what the fight was going to entail, not knowing if either winner would be best in the grand scheme of things. In the meanwhile, as Frieza had finished his business with Nail, having noticed the sky gone dark and then gone back to light, he couldn't help but wonder what on earth had happened. Had they used the Dragon Balls? That couldn't be, but if they had, then there would be hell to pay. As Frieza began taking off, it wouldn't take him long to run into an old friend, as Vegeta flew and stood in front of him. Vegeta! Hello, Frieza. Is this a bad time? If you want, we can reschedule your death at a later date that's convenient for you. So, I take it you've used the Dragon Balls then? I have. And now I have realized the legend. I have become a Super Saiyan. A Super Saiyan? That's what you wished for? I must say, Vegeta, I am going to miss the way you humor me. You deal in legend, I deal in fact. And here's a fact for you. I believe that when this fight is all said and done, you're going to be crawling on your hands and knees like a little dog. Or should I say monkey? After all, dogs are more humorous than you. Before Frieza could finish his sentence, Vegeta had punched him at full force, knocking him directly into the ground. As Frieza slowly looked up, he saw Vegeta menacingly staring back at him. Oh, Frieza. I'm going to enjoy this. This concludes What If Wonder Woman Was in Dragon Ball? Dragon Ball World's Strongest, Part 11. As always, if you enjoyed today's video and everything else that we have to offer, then please don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share, and hit that bell for post notifications so you can stay up to date on everything that is Power Core Productions and Podcastings that is to come out now and in the future. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video as we continue Neon Genesis Evangelion Redemption. What if Shinji went back in time? Part 11. But anyway, that's going to do it for the end of today's video. I'm Javon Harrington with Power Core Productions and Podcastings. Signing off, and I'll see you next time.